So I was scrolling through the Hearts of Iron 4 workshop, trying to find a new mod that I could play. Something simple, not a crazy overhaul mod, and I came across this, UK rework, and I thought, you know what, that does need a rework. And I looked at who made it, and I saw it was the same guy who made a Democratic Russia mod, and I enjoyed that. And this guy seems to be making the mods that are important, right? We need the reworks for the countries that are horrible in vanilla. So I decided to give this one a go, and oh boy, I don't regret it. Oh my god, it's so much bigger and so much better. Whoa, it's so wide. And of course, the voice in the back of my head drew me to the communist path. Only because, like, I've done the Imperial Federation, I've done monarchism, I've done democratic and fascism. I actually haven't played communist Britain. Only because in vanilla, it's just decolonization, which sucks. The Union of Anglo Socialist Republic. Oh my god. See, that looks fun. I don't want to hear a single comment about the allegations, okay? This just looks like a good part. Anyway, the game is on non-historical, so we'll see what happens. Alright, well, there's only one focus that we can start. It's the national government. So we can get managing parliament. Really quickly, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. If you're a regular watcher, or even just someone who checks on my channel every so often, it still helps me out in the algorithm. We're so close to 60k, so it would mean the world to me, thank you. Anyway, I began setting everything up, my industry, research, construction, and of course we start in a very favourable position. I would say Britain is the strongest country in the game at 1936, with access to a vast empire and undisputed dominance of the sea. It really shouldn't be an issue, however we are going communist, so that's gonna change. So it'll be interesting to see what everyone does here, because if France goes communist, we'll have an easy ally, right? It depends what Moscow does as well. Anyway, for the early game, we have this managing parliament system. And in all honesty, I completely ignored it. So how do I get to the House of Lords? I don't know. We're doing the House of Commons though, so I didn't really understand what I was doing until I realized you could click on the icons. I think we should just start doing a change in course. We should go down the political branch as soon as we can so we can actually do stuff early in the game. So let's do that. Change in course. We lose democracy support and we get war support and political power gain. So what do we want? I'm guessing this is like a balance of power, but in the decision tab? I'm not sure. It's not a balance of power. We have to keep both with high support, and the middle we can choose different acts. These acts can then give us different buffs like factory output and everything, but then again I didn't really do it and pretty much ignored it the entire game. This guy actually gives off a negative 10% political advisor cost, so I think getting the silent workhorse for 135 political power is really good. Anyway, I started looking through the socialist branch properly and I noticed there's two options. One, we can become socialist peacefully, but we have to decolonize. And I don't really want to do that, but the other option was looking pretty good. We can keep our colonies, but we have to go through a civil war. And okay, they've remilitarized Rhineland. So Germany's going historical. Meanwhile, we backed the Turkish militarization of the Straits, to which the Soviets responded with more aggression until we backed out. I would lose the 120 political power, but I did manage to get the silent workhorse before I lost the political power. Let's get the silent workhorse, and now we will lose the 120 political power. Turkey remilitarized the Straits anyway, that's fine. Alright, we can't go down that, we need to be communist, so I guess we're going to be communist pretty soon. We might as well start going down the limited rearmament. The civil war was fast approaching, and in doing so, we actually lost control of all the dominions. So we don't decolonize, they just declare independence. And then the dominions assumed control of all of the colonies that I directly oversaw, so I don't get any of it anyway. However, in the future, this is useful because when I invade my former dominions, I'll get all of my colonies back. Poland is going a king. Okay. Whoa. That's a lot of events. The fall of an empire. The British Empire has officially fallen. We removed the Allies. They've all declared independence. Gets event communist civil war. The civil war began where I had control over Scotland and much of northern England while the loyalists remained in the south. Alright, what generals? Do we have any generals? How do we have like Montgomery? What? Communist sympathizers right here. I thought the majority of the army would have sided with the British. I would expect the civil war to be hard. I guess not, because we got a lot of partisans that rose up, so we were vastly outnumbering them. Maybe everyone who was on strike has decided to rise up. Everyone. Oh, so now the Allied faction is now it's the Commonwealth of Nations, led by Canada. Okay, so it's just the former empire, yeah. Which is important, because now if I declare war and invade Canada, that is the entirety of the dominions of my former empire. We can commandeer civilian trains. You know what? I'm going to do that right now. Free trains. Otto von Habsburg has taken in control of Austria. Wow, okay, they might do Austria-Hungary then. The Civil War wasn't a piece of cake. I mean, they did put up some resistance, but I eventually broke through their front lines. Eventually entering London, probably Buckingham Palace. I mean, that's just a guess though, and ending the war. Okay, London, and that's it. Treaty of Valletta. Civil War ends. We can now fix our country and liberate the workers. Yeah, I knew they'd disappear. Alright. What? I found the workhorse is gone. Oh. I ended up hiring some guy who gave communist and war support. Anyway, we have a new flag, a new leader, and we're called the Union of Britain. Wait, no, hang on. The guy I hired was George Orwell. Oh, it's George Orwell. I just noticed. He was actually left-leaning, I'm pretty sure, because he fought for he actually fought in the Spanish Civil War. He fought for the Republican side, and then he got injured, and he had to retreat into, like, Northern Ireland, or he retreated back to Britain, and then he wrote 1984. I never used the medal mechanic, so I gave one of my divisions a medal, the biggest waste of 30 political power I've ever done. Unfortunately, we don't have any land outside of... Oh no, we got Bermuda. It's because when Canada tried to seize it, all their ships sunk in the Bermuda Triangle. Now we must determine what we're going to do with the royal family, and unlike the Bolsheviks, we're not going to kill them. We're not savages, okay? We could have put them in jail or send them to Canada, like exile them, and so I chose to exile them in Canada. Either way, we confiscate their royal wealth, which is pretty good. We lose stability if they're tried and sentenced. We'll exile them to Canada. We're not evil. We're not these guys. We're not killing them in a basement. Right? So there's a conspiracy in the armed forces, which then basically goes back to not being communists. A new Cromwell. Oh my god. I'm sure Ireland would love to see a new Cromwell. I decided not to do the conspiracy and stick with communism. Although there are some very interesting paths, and I really want to come back and try more. you can depose the king and then bring in a king again. And that's exactly what they did in the past, so do it for a second time. Internationally, the civil war has kicked off in Spain, and it's too hard to tell who's going to win that. Norway is in the middle of a civil war between the communists and the democratic. Hungary has flipped to democracy, and Poland has crowned King Michael, so they're going to do the Polish-Romanian Union. Okay, we should probably support Norway in their civil war. Oh, we can't send volunteers, we need 30 divisions. Unfortunately, we've been reduced to a regional power with only 15 divisions. However, we kept our industry, so we're going to get back to major power status relatively soon. So I began sorting through my industry, making sure that I was producing everything I need. But then we got an event which eliminated our upper class, so say goodbye to Montgomery and any of our good generals. You get a bunch of civilian and military factories and retire a bunch of guys. Oh no! So now, for the good of the revolution. This removes the debuff that we got from World War I. So all of a sudden our population just forgets about it. We're ready to fight again. Denmark offers trade proposal. Yeah, why not? Sure. Oh yeah, we got the radar special project. We should probably build some of these facilities. Anyway, Bulgaria is really adamant on lifting their army restrictions, and I'm going to keep denying it. I don't even know why they're asking us. We're not really a major power anymore. But even though I say no, they just do it anyway, so it didn't matter. Anyway, the current leader we have is a Stalinist, and I'm not trying to follow Moscow. They could go into civil war any second, so we're going down the path of the British communist alternative. Anyway, here's our new leader. I made some Marines because I have a plan. Before I invade the Dominions, I want to tackle fascism early and take out Germany in like 1938. So I made some Marine divisions to invade Germany before they get too strong. Unfortunately, they're already making allies in the form of Communist Sweden. I don't know why Communist Sweden joins the Axis, but now that's a thing. Okay, that's fine. I guess we can side with Norway. And then it'll be like Norway, Sweden, Axis, and my faction. So we're going to tackle fascism. Italy and Germany, we get bonuses against. What have Italy even done? The Germans were meddling in foreign affairs as well, putting troops in Afghanistan since they went into a civil war. It is apparent that fascism will spread rapidly if we don't deal with them now. And again, I was proven right as Finland broke into a civil war between the democratic government and the fascists. Interesting. Whoa, we're getting some like crazy ideological alliances here. We got a communist Hungary, fascist Italy, Germany. Sweden is in the Axis, so they're fascist. And then fascist Finland. I started the focus to get a war goal on Germany, and by 1938, we're going to invade them. We're landing in Wilhelmshaven. And then the peace deal will be interesting. I might set up a bunch of like, I think I know what I want to do for the peace deal. Okay, hang on. I got to win the war before I start talking about the peace deal. I've still only got like, 30 divisions? So I probably should send volunteers to Norway instead of doing this. But Norway is hard stuck in their civil war, which really sucks. Switzerland joins the Commonwealth of Nations. Did they go down the path to do the Allies, to join the Allies, but there's no Allies, so they just join the Commonwealth of Nations? Turns out we're invading them before 1938, because my war goal finished, and it's December 1937? However, I can't quite get supremacy, because I have to destroy the German and Swedish navy. Kill them. Oh, this is a big naval battle. Look at this. It's huge. I think we sunk their pride of the fleet. We just sunk their pride of the fleet. However, the Swedish navy is still lurking around, and I'm not going to find them until next year. Now, the Swedish navy was quite elusive. It was pissing me off. I couldn't get supremacy without destroying them. Oh, navy's going out again? That's just the submarines. All we're finding is just their submarines. We have supremacy on each other's coast. What is that? I finally found them in like March. Took me forever, and I got supremacy. I sent the invasion off, and it failed. It's the biggest waste of time. So instead, I settled for invading Sweden. Maybe that would be a little bit easier than Germany. And it was. I managed to land and push out quite a bit, even securing military access through Norway in case I lost the port. However, once German reinforcements arrived, it was then back to a stalemate. I then made a second attempt, and I got even further, but still not far enough to capitulate Sweden. Oh, I need a break. This is not working. I need a break. I decided to step away from the computer, and I returned in a few hours, thinking about what I was going to do. And when I returned, I came up with a brilliant idea. Okay, so I'm back after a bit of a break, and I've had a think. I can declare war on Germany and Sweden, but I don't need to invade them straight away. I can build up my armed forces and my marines a little bit more before I invade them. The main point is I'll be able to sink their navy and stuff early on, right? Do the whole naval war, and then maybe in 1939, I actually do an invasion. Colonel Cam figures out that he doesn't have to launch a naval invasion as soon as you declare war. Like, that what? So when I was at war with them, I was going to sink their navy and just convoy raid them to oblivion. Alright, and we see what France do, because France look like they're going communist, so they might be able to join our faction. We got a lot of people going communist. The civil war hasn't broken out in the Soviet Union, so I assume they're staying with Stalin. I've gone communist. France looks like it's going communist. Norway, Sweden. I think Yugoslavia and Hungary, they both go communist. Oh, okay. Did we get the Swedish and German? No, surely just the Swedish part of the fleet. We have supremacy in both anyway, so... Anyway, the civil war occurred in Romania, which causes the union between Poland and Romania. So yeah, Poland and Romania are going to do that thing. Yugoslavia hasn't gone communist yet. Now that we have supremacy, I made the strike force fleet a quarter of the size as it was to save fuel. I kind of want to add the armored recon onto that. I've got armored recon on this with logistics and the motorized. I've been a bit of a fan of adding light recon armored divisions. Imagine that combined with flame tanks and you've got a pretty hefty armored infantry division. I think with this naval blockade on Germany, it's just going to absolutely cripple them, to be honest. Now that I'm looking at this from a post-game perspective, I don't think it crippled them that much. They can still trade through land and can access all of Asia's resources through the Soviet Union. The only resources they don't have access to is the Americas, so yeah, it's not that bad. That Norwegian civil war is actually a pain. If the communists had won their civil war by now, life would be so much better. I could put troops in Norway and start invading Sweden. Norway, whoa, let the music start. The Norwegian People's Republic declared war on Iceland. And then, my least favourite thing in the entire world happened. Norway then created the Northern International, their own faction, and tell me why this has countries in this faction that are not very northern whatsoever. We're talking like Xinjiang in communist China. I mean, even Yugoslavia being in the faction doesn't make any sense. Communist China, Hungary, Yugoslavia. At least Paraguay didn't. Oh my god, I'm kind of tempted to go in and fix this Northern International problem. I mean, like, I get the international idea, but it shouldn't be a faction. It should probably more be like guarantees. Alright, cruiser submarine. There we go. Let's go make some of that. We've given them 63k casualties just from boats. But I guess I can take over faction leadership. And, you know, the Northern International can turn into my faction. My idea was to justify on the democratic Norway, hopefully get into the Northern International and then assume faction leadership and then disband it. This is just like imposing a naval blockade on Germany, what we've done. It has triggered a war. Think of it like that. Anyway, as 1938 came to an end, 1939 would be a whole lot more interesting. Austria and Italy are at war. Italy's invading Austria, and they haven't even formed Austria-Hungary yet. However, they have formed the Central Powers faction with Bulgaria and Turkey, so now Italy is at war with that faction. Anyway, if I'm going to eventually land in Germany, I probably should get some amphibious tanks for the naval invasion. So I went ahead and designed it to add it to my marine divisions. Mexico has... Okay, what just happened? A bunch of stuff just happened. Mexico is declared war on the United States, and they're in the Bolivian alliance, so now the USA is gonna... This is like the last country I want to go communist. They're the worst. Czechoslovakia has joined the Comintern. They're democratic, but sure. Okay, interesting. However, that's not going to last long, okay? Because Austria-Hungary can do a thing where they turn Czechoslovakia into a puppet state, and that is exactly what happens. World tension isn't even that high. And people are joining factions left, right, and center, okay? Like, Germany just declared war on Lithuania, and they joined my faction. They didn't even ask if they could join, it just immediately happened. And I can invite Latvia. Germany has just declared war on Poland, Romania. I decided this was my time to go in on Germany, so I completely abandoned the idea of invading the northern Norway, and I decided to let all of Eastern Europe in my faction. Well, Eastern Europe, I mean the Baltics and Poland, Romania. By now, my army had grown to well over 50 divisions, so I could reinforce the front of Poland and also invade from my side. 14 days is forever. Seems like Germany's struggling. We did do a blockade on them for a while. This time, with the Germans distracted, I was able to land in Wilhelmshaven, and soon enough I deployed the majority of my army there. But I had a bad feeling about a certain country that might invade the Baltics, which is my allies. And well, I crash out a bit. Soviet Union has just invaded Estonia. Oh no. And I didn't ask Estonia to join my faction. They just joined as soon as Germany invaded them. It was just automatic. That's not even my fault. Oh my god, okay, fine. However, I came up with a brilliant idea. In fact, it's the same idea that the British actually did during World War II. In real life, Britain only guaranteed military support to Poland under the circumstance of an invasion from Germany, not the Soviet Union. That's why when the USSR invaded Poland, the Allies weren't at war with them. And the same principle is going to apply here. Sorry, Eastern Europe, I just guaranteed you from Germany. They're at war with the entire Soviet Union. I'm not gonna lie, I'm siding with the Soviets, to be honest. They actually are holding, though. Look at them go. Look at them go. Doing well. And they've just declared war on communist China, which means Japan is now going to be at war with the stupid Northern Alliance. Oh my god. It's fine. Okay, this is how we're going to rationalize what's happening here. I've just entered a defense agreement with Eastern Europe from an invasion from Germany, all right? Not from the Soviet Union. This is actually what happened in real life. However, it's still in my best interest to capitulate Germany before my Eastern Europe allies capitulate to the Soviet Union. So by now, both of my armies were pushing on either side of Germany, and I was winning. Soviet Union has invaded White Finland. White Finland has joined the Axis. The Soviet Union is now at war against Germany. I can comprehend this. I can comprehend it. I can keep track. I swear. Austria and Czechoslovakia. Okay. You know what, that's fine. Italy really fumbled the bag here. They just had to capitulate Austria to get a peace deal with Turkey, Bulgaria, and Austria. And they could have had a massive empire, but no, they screwed it up. And now the Czechoslovakian army is going to destroy them. Berlin. It's right there. We got Berlin. Nice. They got to be so... There we go. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much all of that's, yeah, it's Afghanistan and everything. All right. For the peace deal, I gave the Soviet Union Afghanistan, claimed Finnish territories and a puppet of Finland. I gave Lithuania Königsberg and Memel, while Poland got the southern Prussian bit, and I balkanized Germany into a bunch of satellite states. Then I also puppeted Sweden. All right, there's the peace deal. Don't worry about world tension. World tension's still crazy high. Big Holstein, we got Bavaria. These are all communists because they're all my puppets, and then this Eastern Germany is just like is just East Germany, right? I think I've done a pretty good peace deal there. So if we look at our London International, Eastern Europe's going to disappear soon. They can't call in our friends here because they're my puppet. I let Eastern Europe try and survive itself, but it was pretty obvious that was not going to happen. So we're going to have a bit of a communist divide here, a Soviet Eastern Europe and an alternate communist West. Then in the south, we still have Italy and Austria-Hungary. 2 more countries have gone communist, Spain and Greece. I don't know why everyone's doing this. Our army is a strong 800k, including the divisions that we're still churning out. We are down like 1k gun, 10k guns, but it's fine. There's an option in our focus tree to invite the French if they go communist, and luckily enough, they actually did. Although I'm not really surprised, every country has gone communist in this game. I guess, okay, I can see. Yeah, because they're against the Greater Portugal. Yeah, okay. Shortly before they joined my faction, though, Eastern Europe was completely annexed. How many communist factions are there? There's 3, you know. There we go, the French International joins mine, though. Beautiful. The French and the British back united under the same banner. So this is really good. My faction is really good. Northern International, the Comintern, it might have to be me versus the Comintern. However, there's one more important thing that we must do before we declare war on Stalin, and that is reclaim the dominions. See, even though we're against colonization, I don't think leaving our former dominions under the rule of the remnants of our empire is very good. I might do that, and then we can form the Union of Anglo Socialist Republics. Unfortunately, it locked me out of the focus because I didn't embrace decolonization at the very start. I decided to do the Civil War, which I think's a bit stupid, so I went ahead and did some console commands to make sure that I could do the focus. That was it. I wouldn't mind like helicopter logistics, which you can get through researching. Yes. There's so many helicopter ones. I tried saving Norway from their endless civil war before I declared war on the Dominions, but nah. It's just not happening. Not even I could break through. Alright, I'm ready to invade Canada. They've gone fascist. Oh, they need invading. I went ahead and declared war and landed in Canada, Quebec specifically, pretty easily. And fortunately, Canada is the only major, so if I capitulate them, I get the entire empire. We have to go probably all the way to Vancouver, which is incredibly annoying. America actually guaranteed Canada, so I had to declare war on the other dominions so they would get called in to avoid it. Off we go. Vancouver. That's a hike. Italy's declared war on SFR Yugoslavia. That is this Northern Alliance at war with Italy. And Italy haven't created a faction. I guess that's good. Sometimes not creating a faction is good because then it avoids the whole catastrophe of everyone just joining everyone. Alright, expand the revolution to Ireland. They're guaranteed by America. Never mind. In fact, America created their own faction, which included that democratic Norway that is still in a civil war with the communist one. Denmark joined America. Okay, here we go. All the democracies, here we go. Anyway, I was still doing my long hike across the wilderness, so we'll get there shortly. Next year, actually.
And just because he's human, a man...
It was taking forever to walk across Canada. I mean, there was no supply right around the middle. I eventually got a supply hub, which propelled me a further 2 tiles. And Norway is, this Norway's People's Republic is going to lose. The Northern International is going to lose their... Unless China is a major, then they're cooked. We're literally still on volunteer only, which is pretty impressive. Our military is composed entirely of volunteers. No one's been forced to do this, which is insane. How cool are we? I mean, yeah, I guess that's pretty cool. Anyway, I was beginning to make faster progress in Canada, and I was eventually going to reach Vancouver. When I say that it was volunteers only, I don't think anyone would be willingly volunteering to hike across Canada. I can feel there being a division, and it's going to be horrible. There is, yep. Oh, who would have predicted that? There's 2 now. 3? Brev. Eventually, I encircled them, and the 3 divisions became not really much of a problem because they were encircled, and I capitulated Canada, capitulating the entirety of the Commonwealth of Nations. That's 99. This will be it. Vancouver, and it'll be it. That's it. Oh, that is a nice peace deal right here. Okay. For the peace deal, I annexed all of the Anglo dominions like Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, while the non-white countries I gave independence to, like the British Raj, even Pakistan, and a lot of Africa and all of the islands. However, it turned out I missed like an island off the coast of Australia, so I had to go annex those real quick. And finally, I could form the Anglo communist, what was it called again? Union of Anglo Socialist Republics. There we go. The ideology map is so cooked. It's so cooked. It's all red. Oh my god. But like there's 3 different factions that are all red. There we go. We've done it. The Union of Anglo Socialist Republics. We're dark red just like the Soviet Union. Bunch of manpower. This is our flag. Hell yeah. I don't know about being the same color as the Soviets. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between the factions now. Once the common enemy is defeated, there will be infighting. Leftist classic. Communist classic. Anyway, we still have a war goal for Ireland, which is guaranteed by America. It's looking sketch. When we get more divisions on the front though, then we'll be fine. So I prepared for war against America, the last of the Anglo nations we're gonna need. And I'm on a mission, okay? I'm making Oceania at this point. Oh, Treaty of Oslo. Norway, Denmark, Italy. Wait, they beat Norway, and then Italy got all of that. Oh my god, okay, so we have a democratic Norway and democratic Denmark in this North American Federation, so there's going to be a front there. We got Italy, that just took Hungary and Yugoslavia, still at war with the Central Powers. I don't think they're going to do too well. And then we got Iran pushing back the Soviet Union. I keep forgetting, it's only 1942, like... It's about to be only 1942. It's not even that far into the game. Despite Italy getting all that land, Austria was much stronger and began pushing back Italy even to the point where they got into a civil war. While that was happening, I was setting up my invasion into America, and by 1942 we would be at war once again.
A man would like a little bite to eat. He wants...
I'm invading from Canada, mostly, obviously, but I'm also doing a naval invasion from Bermuda. I'm ready. I'm making jet engines. Cool. We're gonna crush America. Now, this is 1942, like prime America, okay? They're not weak anymore. So I've got a bit of a challenge ahead of me, but I'm gonna start the war not by declaring on America, but by declaring on Ireland. The invasion of who? Why is this a... I have one army in Ireland that should easily be enough to take care of them. Most of my army was situated along the eastern coast border around, Washington and Boston and that area. And then the big, long Canadian border with Vancouver all the way down there had just like minimum divisions because all I want to do is hold that. And then, before I declared war, France ditched me. They made their own Paris Accords faction. So there's a whole nother communist faction, wow. We didn't need France anyway. I commenced my invasion of Ireland and quickly started overpowering their army. Meanwhile, America was called into the war, and my attention immediately shifted over to that front. Ireland capitulated in no time, and I sent that army over to the Americas. While they were on their way, I launched my invasion onto the East Coast in Charleston. These are quality Marines. We got like amphibious tanks, so the Americans stood no chance when I captured the port. I would then send a bunch of fast motorized divisions over to that border. Oh, Alaska! Me when I forget. Oh, it's so irrelevant. Anyway, after my East Coast invasion, my army in the northeast was doing a lot better. I'd captured Detroit and much of New England. Iran and Soviet Union white peaced. Oh my god. Iran. They just did what... That's insane. They lost a bunch of land, but they've retained, Tehran and quite a bit. By the state of the front, I was definitely winning this war. I could pull off an encirclement in New York for sure. Alright, can we see how many divisions they got? 213. Max. That is quite a bit. Anyway, while I'm still on volunteer only, I finally ran out of manpower. But I'm hesitant to increase it, because I'm just going to recruit a bunch of divisions from my German puppets. And they've got a lot of divisions. Like, each state has like 10. And when I core America and Ireland, that manpower is going to come right back. And 16. Oh, we just got 88 divisions of German troops. I can already see the future of Europe here. I can see East Germany breaking free from Britain, siding with Austria, and then trying to reclaim its territory. So to prevent that future, I'm probably going to have to deal with Austria. Oh, yes. Look at this. By now, I've secured the entire eastern coast, and all that's left is to manifest destiny. Mexico, for the third time, has invaded the United States. I guess they can join our faction. They're pretty communist, to be honest. Norway, what? Norway's gone into another communist civil war. What? By the end of 1942, America was crippled, and by 1943, we would get a peace deal.
No bull and a lot of talk that gives no breath.
There we go, finish the doctrine. Mexico invading was kind of good. They actually do have divisions, and, they're in my faction, so my allies were supporting them, and they were able to take San Diego and LA a lot faster. What are they at? 97. So close. We're about to pull off this encirclement, by the way. There it is. Okie dokie. For the peace deal, I gave communist Norway their land and also created a communist puppet in Denmark. I then annexed all of Ireland and America. It's all mine. Mexico joined too late to get a single bit of it. Finally, I puppeted Brazil because, yeah, they were in the American faction. That's insane. The Central Powers still need to be gotten rid of, okay? They're the last non-communist bloc, really. And then it'll be one final war against the Soviet Union, the final battle of ideology. North America. So the USA becomes a core. And then I'll give us so much manpower. I upgraded all my equipment, so I have up-to-date technology against the Soviets. Hey, we got jet engine. So now what? Axle jet engine, which now creates that. Can I put it on planes? Oh, we can. One jet engine. I can make jets. I would then core America and Ireland before my war against Austria-Hungary. So left 2, 3, so left 2, 3 to the... Austria-Hungary is the only major. And they're officially Austria-Hungary now. Maybe it'll be worth, getting that land. Then we have a massive front with the Soviet Union. Plus, the major's just here. So, you know what? It's fine. This Hanover state is so OP. They have 28 divisions. That's more than this Germany. And I'm pretty sure Bavaria is pretty strong. 19. The Rhine has 20 divisions? Like, bro. Like, man, my German puppet states are crazy. This might be the strat. Like, just liberate all of them as a satellite, and then, just they rack up their divisions and industry. Anyway, my justification finished on Austria-Hungary, and I was ready to invade. The French Commune declared war on Austria-Hungary and Italy. Oh, so now, okay. The Paris Accords are at war with the Central Powers. They're going to get a bit of Turkey and stuff, hey? Czechoslovakia was too hard to push through, but it didn't matter. We were pushing through Austria pretty easily. Japan joined the Paris Accords. That is really cringe. That is really cringe. Whatever. I know the AI would do that. It would do crap like that. Oh my god, I cannot wait till the faction rework comes out. Imperial Japan joins the French Communist faction. I know the world tension's 100% and they're fighting the same enemy in China and they're in the same faction. These two shouldn't even be in the same faction. China and Austria-Hungary. Oh my god. I don't know how that begun. How did that even happen in the first place? Anyway, while I was waiting for Austria-Hungary to capitulate, I started making nuclear weapons, which would be good to use on the Soviets to lower their war support and make them easier to capitulate. Oh, we're about to get into here? Oh. Right, go. This way. We still only have 8%. What war support do we need? 10. 10, that's achievable. That's achievable. We go, war propaganda. That should get us above 10. Anyway, after a bunch of fiddling around and trying to snake to victory points, I finally capitulated Austria-Hungary. Okay, Japan... There you go, you can have China. France did do stuff in the war, so I gave them the Libyan puppet, and then also Iraq, Kurdistan, and then half of Turkey. While I gave myself a Western Turkey puppet, Bulgaria, a Balkanized Yugoslavia, Balkanized Italy, and I think I also Balkanized Austria-Hungary. The Turkish Socialist Republic, which is under a French puppet, and then we got another Turkish Socialist Republic, which is my puppet, and they're in the West. So it's like a Turkish divide, one with Ankara and one with Istanbul and Izmir. I don't know why Istanbul isn't the capital, but okay. And look at the balkanization of Central Europe and, you know, that area that I've done. Oh my day. The French Commune is already fighting the Soviets? If the French are already invading, then I might as well join in. And so began the invasion of the Soviet Union. March on in the Workers' United Front for you. There it is. Now this war is going to be a lot harder than normally invading the Soviets. It's 1945 and they've had the territories of the Baltics and Romania and Poland a lot longer than they normally do. I had the idea of setting up an invasion into Riga though to try and undermine the supply in Poland. Oh, it runs so bad. It's fine. We have air bases. Yeah, we're shooting down their planes. We'll win the air war. I launched my invasion and my Marines, which had already successfully landed in America, didn't find any problems landing in the Baltics either. Alright, we're pushing into Estonia too. So we got this landing. I don't know if that's going to weaken this. My main attention was focused on that invasion. If I could push down far enough, I might be able to encircle divisions around Warsaw. Surely we pull this off. Come on. Yes. After closing that encirclement, my fronts were connected into one long one. Things were going brilliantly in the north, but the south was a different story. They were pushing into Bulgaria, not just from Romania, but also from Greece. I could try and invade in the Black Sea now. Maybe into the Caucasus. Wait, sometimes I rage more about the controls of this game than just the game. Like it's so like finicky, man. Everything's so like easily misclickable. I hate it. Damn, Bulgaria's actually gonna capitulate. Anyway, I ran out of manpower again. This is probably the worst time to run out of manpower. Damn, we're gonna get cut off at Kaliningrad. That's not good. I started shifting my attention to the south, so I set up an invasion into Sevastopol, managing to secure Crimea with my amphibious tanks pretty easily, but I wouldn't push out of it, alright? I'll wait until I get a bit further in the south. Actually, that's a lie. I did try and push out of it. I don't know why I said that. But this has the opportunity for a crazy encirclement coming up from Crimea and down from my original invasion. For you are a worker too. Anyway, I started pushing pretty well again. Unfortunately, France was losing to Spain, meaning I would have to have another front on the French border. But I wasn't at war with Spain. For some reason, they weren't being called in. And to be honest, I want to keep it that way, so hopefully it does. I'd also started working on a collab government for the Soviets, so it didn't take forever to capitulate them. And Moscow has fallen again. Finally, we're going to take Leningrad as well, hopefully. I managed to then encircle much of the Russian army that was, you know, attacking Bulgaria in Odessa. And then I captured an airbase where my strategic bombers could reach Stalingrad. So I guess it's time to nuke Stalingrad. Oh, it's still 1 hour. Hey, we got it. Right on there. Atomic bombing of Stalingrad. I then managed to capture the city, and after a bit of lag, they finally capitulated, but it wasn't a peace deal. I then had to invade Spain and Portugal, who had finally been called into the war, so I rushed my army over there and started invading them too. Mexico just declared war on Uruguay? They are. Mexico, I hate you so much. I hate you so much! Mexico, when they go communist, are the most annoying country ever. They keep declaring war on America, and they will lose every time, and then eventually keep declaring war. In this game, they declared war on America 3 times. And for some reason, they've invaded Uruguay, which is like the smallest puppet state of Brazil. I mean, I got so sick of them, I just straight up annexed them, using commands. Because I hate, in the game, man, it's so bad. Anyway, my army was tearing through Spain and Portugal, and it was only a matter of time before we got a peace deal. Oh yeah, this should be it. This should be it now. For the peace deal, I created a bunch of satellite states in like Ukraine, Belarus, Central Asia, the Caucasus. But I kept Russia united, with Japan only getting North Sakhalin and Vladivostok. Alright, so I gave Japan Vladivostok, North Sakhalin. Stalin is the puppet of this Anglo-Russia, which is hilarious. For Eastern Europe, I puppeted Ukraine, Belarus, the Baltics, and, you know, the usual. Except I decided to puppet the Polish-Romanian Union as a communist state, because I wanted to see what the flag and name would be. Polish-Romanian People's Republic. Look at this. This is good. And there's my balkanization of Europe with the Anglo-Socialist Union Rep. What is it called? The Union of Anglo-Socialist Republics. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.